Our next guest is Mary Coomer, who's going to complement this section of our episode, the fourth episode, which is conversations with those who are optimally aging. And if you look at Mary Coomer, you can see she's optimally aging. She's happy. She's engaged with the Traeger Institute and it's on optimal aging. And I think it's just fantastic to have her wrap up this series. So, Mary Coomer, welcome. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. I just came from Tai Chi and yoga, and I love it here.
Yeah, you love it here. So the question becomes, where is here? I mean, like, how did you hear about the U of L Traeger Institute? And what initially drew you to their programs and vast array of services?
Well, for a few years ago, I used to speak at a professor at U of L. Her name's Lori Paris. I used to speak at her classes about this exact topic.
Okay.
So one of her students became a Facebook friend of mine.
Okay.
I posted on Facebook a painting. She wanted to buy it.
Oh.
I said, come to my house. I wasn't going to charge her. I said, come to my house. She came to my house. Her name is Kate Russell. Okay. And she saw all my Tai Chi posters in my basement because I was trying to crawl back after 3 joint replacements in 11 months. I wasn't ready to go back to go back to a class maybe I couldn't finish or something.
Yeah.
Because I've been a fitness instructor and I just didn't, so she said, oh, you do Tai Chi. Have you ever heard of the Traeger Institute? I'm like, no, I have not. So that's how I got here. And I started with the Tai Chi. Then, oh, they have yoga. Okay, I'll take that. Oh, I can take art. Oh, they'll do my will for me. Okay, good. Oh, therapy. Oh, wonderful. Physical therapy. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I come 2 days a week and they call me the poster child.
The poster child, and now we know why you're on this episode, right? You're like Wendy's for the hamburgers, not that your hamburger or chopped beef, but you are the poster child for the, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist that. That may have been corny.
It thrills me. I mean, it makes me very happy that one lady even said we should put you on the payroll. I'm like, I'm done working. I taught 7th grade for 100 years, and then I was a fitness instructor, and I'm retired now.
Well, being a fitness instructor, you had 3 joint replacements in 11 months. That seems a bit arduous. You know how to have fun, madam.
I'll tell you what, I was in such good shape. Because right up till the first replacement, I've been a fitness instructor for 6 years. And I was terrified. The last surgery I'd had was when I had my tonsils out when I was 6, and they lied about the ice cream not hurting. But the first, that was so easy. I think the joint was so bad, they just went and brushed it out like the archaeologists, when they're brushing out. But the rest of my body was in very good shape. So then I went for the shoulder, and then I went for the other hip. And I won't say badassery. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
Well, let's go back to what you did say. I want to make sure folks heard that, which was like an archaeologist. They just blew on the bone with a brush on the joint. That's funny.
And so I recovered very well, but I still wasn't ready to go back to rigorous classes.
Of course.
I came here and it's beginning again, Tai Chi. I've played Tai Chi for many years, but this guy says things I've never heard before because it's a slow moving beginner's class.
Yeah. Yeah. So sounds like this raft of services offered by the Traeger Institute on Optimal Aging has had such a positive impact on you, Mary.
Well, because everything look, I'm a little bit lazy. So when I can take care of several things in one day, in 2 days a week, I'm very happy. And
you're a happy camper.
I just kept saying, so what about that physical therapy? Can I go there? And then at the law office, my son got divorced, so I had to do my will over. They did that. Oh, art class. Oh, that looks like fun, even though I already painted, but I needed adult supervision. My art was kind of, it showed that I did not have adult supervision with my art.
Did I understand you sold the paint? You sold the painting? Was that you or somebody else when I was down there?
It was I. We had a local fella, Jay Grady. He has a store called Grady Goods, and he had a show he featured about 30 some local artists.
Oh,
I took one of my pieces in there, and it's actually sold at the opening. I was so happy.
oh, look at you.
And then a Facebook friend saw that was a little lion.
Mm-hmm.
And the Facebook friend saw that and said, I have thousands of giraffes. Can you make me a giraffe?
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, it's going to have to be very simplistic. And so I got a picture off the internet, and so he paid me $50.
You are a published artist, Mary. I mean, that's impressive. A giraffe. So was it I guess I'm sure it was better what I would have paid it, which is a stick giraffe. I saw your painting and it was very attractive. Well done, madam.
Thank you.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
So, we touch on the wellness classes, but let's talk a little bit about the other services like the elder law clinic. And you also mentioned the behavioral health services. What's been your experience with these two critical areas, Mary?
Well, it's been great. I at art class, somebody said she had been over next door, which is the elder law clinic, to get her will done. Mm-hmm. And I needed to get mine redone. And so I popped in and I said, what's the story? They said, well, bring your old one and we'll fix it. We'll change for the additions and subtractions. Mm-hmm. So I did that. And then I had been talking to somebody at the Cardinal Success Program, also part of U of L, mm-hmm. for a few years before lockdown, because I have a terrible problem getting rid of stuff. Oh. I'm creative. Everything I look at seems to have a use for. I'm a writer, so when I look at things, it jogs my memory. Oh, I better write about that. Da da da. So, but I needed help. I needed to talk to somebody about this, plus a few other things that I don't think it's necessary for me to reveal to you right now. But they got me a therapist, and I don't know if I should say her name or not, but her initials are JC, and she is very, very good.
Okay, and JC is very, very good. Okay, go ahead. Well done, JC.
Dr. Joe supervises.
Yeah.
Her. And she's just helped me so much. I have more, let's say, less amorphous goals now. Yeah, I'm like more concrete goals, and I'll commit because I have to come and tell her if I did something. So I'm in recovery for a long time, and I've never hesitated to get help when there was something I couldn't figure out myself.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, and just as a side note you shared, I will also share, Mary, which is when I lost my mom suddenly. I'm spiritual, I'm highly motivated. I have a very positive outlook on life, but I found myself spiraling into this dark hole, which I could not get out of. And I too went to someone who helped me get back on track, help that healing of that emotional state that I was spinning into. So I encourage people. It's almost like, Mary, would you agree with this? Like if you break a bone, or let's say your foot, you go. I went to see a podiatrist, but no one wants to say that someone helped them put their mind back together. And I submit to you, madam, as you have found, that that's the best way towards healing.
Yeah? Absolutely. There's some things we just can't do alone. And I'm very independent. I've been by myself since 1980. But, when you live in New York, you don't let yourself go, and you walk everywhere.
That's exactly, you walk everywhere. Exactly. And I'm from upstate New York, Schenectady and Rochester. Excuse me. So I think, as Mark Twain said it, Mary, you and I are Yankees in King Arthur's court, or something like that.
Connecticut Yankees. Well, that's right.
That's right. That's right. Yankees, Connecticut Yankees at King Arthur's court. But listen, also as part of being fit, I read in your bio that you're a serious student of flamenco.
Yes, flamenco. I'm gonna tell you that I got interested in flamenco when I was a kid. My parents took us to different things, and I fell in love with Jose Greco, and they had flamenco shows they had flamenco dancers on Ed Sullivan all the time. So at the age of, let me think, 72, I think it was, I started classes. Now, let me say, I have been a beginner. There are three main dances. I have been a beginner in each of those three main dances like 3 times.
Wow.
Because I'll be in the student showcase.
Mm-hmm.
They'll promote me. I'll go to the more advanced class. I won't be able to keep up. I'll cry and I'll go back to the first class. So Zen mind, beginner's mind. I mean, they just keep letting me start over.
Mm-hmm.
I know everybody in the whole school now because I was a beginner with each and every. But it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, the feeling of creating beauty. I've danced all kinds of different kinds of dances, but
Mm-hmm.
it's too hard for me.
Yeah.
No, it's too hard for me, but it doesn't stop me.
I love flamenco, especially you see the passion, if you will, between the dancers. It's just something to behold. And including this interview with you is something to behold, madam.
It kind of keeps me disciplined. See, it's the same way I feel about fitness. It keeps me disciplined as a writer.
Yeah.
And this keeps me disciplined as a Tai Chi player, or a yoga practitioner. And I just show up.
Yeah.
I show up. And I said to somebody the other day, don't expect to enjoy it all the time. You won't always enjoy it, but you'll enjoy having done it.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. And something I've enjoyed, and when you said show up, you know, that's such a good model for life, right? Just show up. And I hope you've heard it through Mary's this conversation, this interview with Mary Coomer, how she has shown up through multiple joint replacements, through multiple opportunities at Traeger Institute, on the behavioral health side, on the elder law side, and Tai Chi. And by the way, if you want more information about Tai Chi and the raft of services offered by the Traeger Center Optimal Aging, please visit their website, which is traegerinstitute.org. Mary, thank you so much for conversations with those who are optimally aging. You truly are aging with grace. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Oh. Arthritis.
Spock would understand. We'll just do it like this. Oh, that's funny. Our next guest is Leroy Chittenden. And one of the opening things as we meet this delightful gentleman, he says that who knows what mischief he would have gotten into before coming to Kentucky 33 years ago. Leroy, I'm curious, what were you talking about, and why did you come here in this wonderful state that I too have adopted, but not 33 years ago?
I came to teach chemistry at Elizabethtown Community College. And I followed that up with this incredible job working for the state in their environmental protection group. Okay. And I was part of a group that oversaw the cleanup of the Paducah gaseous diffusion plant.
Wow.
And I learned chemistry in that job. It wow. It was some experience.
Yeah. Well, speaking of some experience, we'll ratchet forward to the Traeger Institute on optimal aging. And one of those is that in retirement, you started teaching yoga. Matter of fact, you just finished a yoga and Tai Chi class. Which one do you prefer, and why yoga and Tai Chi, sir?
Well, I really don't. Laura Spalding, the head of Yoga East, says that when she started teaching yoga or started doing yoga, she learned it out of a book. And that's exactly the same with me. Today, yoga books are full color and so on. The paperback yoga book that I have from the 60s is line drawings, and it's just so much different today. My son says that when he was a child, that was 50 years ago.
Okay.
He thought that every day I stood on my head, I did salutation to the sun, and I polished my shoes. And so I was doing something like yoga, but I really didn't know what I was doing until I came to Louisville. And then I got some really good yoga teachers.
Yeah.
And so I love yoga. and 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 I know that what I've been teaching is good for people, especially, and I've concentrated on teaching older people. But I also think that Tai Chi has a lot of potential too for older people, and I really like what I'm learning there.
So is that part of your thinking that you plan to be 100 years old? With Tai Chi and yoga, is that going to contribute to you being 100 years old, sir?
We are living in the age of modern miracles in medicine. I mean, it is just incredible. I mean, take somebody else's hand and putting it on another person. I mean, hearts and my mother was born a little over a century ago. She said when she was a child, pneumonia was a death sentence. My wife had pneumonia when she was in the 30s as a child, and they had sulfa drugs, so she made it through. And then we got penicillin, and penicillin with pneumonia is a 4-day experience, or at most. I mean, it is just incredible. And that's just the simplest things.
Yeah.
And this beating this coronavirus, having a vaccine within a year,
right?
I mean, it's incredible.
Yes, it is.
So here we're being given gifts by medicine, and we're the population. We need to live up to that.
What are some of your memories growing up of older people? What to expect? What did you have any anticipation of what old age, being older, would look like to you, sir?
Well, one of my memories, I met my grandfather, my mother's father, when I was 11 and he was 79. He was a Lutheran pastor. I never saw him without wearing a 3-piece suit. Never. He would come and into my garden, and he would take off his jacket and hang it on a branch with his vest and tie and so on, and we would hoe and so on. I thought I met as they say here in Kentucky, the man who hangs the stars. I mean, I just idolized that guy. I only met him 3 times in my life. But he had gray hair, and I've got it now, and he was old and I'm old now, and he was wise and I'm still working on that piece of it. And I just that positive image was really important for me. Another old person that I can remember was the mother of my uncle. And she was, this must have been, it was in the 40s sometime, probably before, might have been during World War II. She was normally she was in a old wooden wheelchair. And so we were at Thanksgiving dinner, I think, and he picked her up from that wheelchair and took her and carried her to the table. I mean, she was diminished. She set her down at her place at the head of the table. It was an incredible thing to see. Since the pandemic, I feel old. I really. And I've got a lot of issues that I'm working on emotionally, but one of them is just getting old. That is accepting the fact that it's really different now. So I don't know what happened to me during the pandemic, but something happened.
Well, keeping in mind that something happened takes me to my next question, which is how important is a place like Traeger for you, sir, where you are now, and also for other age adults?
Well, to me, Traeger is like an egg that just hatched and is going that and has the potential to just bloom into this incredible thing. Our classes don't have very many people. We could have lots more classes and lots of things. But one of the things that's happened for me, and actually the reason that I came to these classes were to socialize with people. Just so I just think that's so important.
Yes, sir, it is.
That we're doing here.
We're gonna leave it right there, Leroy Chittenden. Sir, what a delight getting a chance to know you. And I certainly share my prayer with you that you too will continue to age with grace, as obviously you're doing. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day, Leroy. Bye.
Bye.
As we conclude episode 4 of this podcast series, Optimal Aging, brought to you by the University of Louisville Traeger and Optimal Aging Clinic, and my podcast series, I'm host of Aging with Grace 55 Plus, I thought I would end this episode with an article that I read recently by Dr. Seth Gillian. He is a licensed psychologist who practices mindful cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT for short. In his article, which I thought was very applicable to in wrapping up this series, Dr. Gillian writes, it may be easier to be your worst critic than to like yourself. And you're not alone. Many of us struggle with a general negative feeling about ourselves, because his article is titled, Treat Yourself Well. And so with that in mind, he continues, maybe you think awful thoughts about yourself, that you're stupid, that you're disgusting, unlovable, or worthless. Or perhaps you're constantly on your own case about not doing enough, or simply messing up everything you try. You know, it's hard to feel at ease when you have a pervasive feeling that in some fundamental way, you're just not okay. And negative thoughts and feelings about ourselves often go along with treating ourselves badly. Maybe we eat poorly, maybe we don't get enough sleep, or ultimately, perhaps we abuse ourselves with substances that harm our bodies. You see, it's hard not to see ourselves as someone of value and a person worth knowing and loving if the person that you're with treats yourself badly. If the man in the mirror treats you badly, then it's hard to believe, right, that you're a person of value. And so he being Dr. Gillian, he contrasts this with being in a relationship with a friend, a family member, or a romantic partner who never, ever ask you how you're doing. He or she never attends to your needs or never did anything nice for you. And if they do, it's always begrudging and with minimal effort. We will question the value of that relationship, but yet when we do that to ourselves, we just kind of say, well, that's just the way it is because maybe I'm not a good person. It's easy to see how this kind of treatment would affect the way you feel about yourself. Again, you start to think that maybe you're not worth caring about. And so this kind of reinforces the idea that you're not a worthwhile person, which then Dr. Gillian suggests puts us in a typical catch-22 situation. You need to treat yourself well in order to feel that you have value, but you need to have value, recognize your value in order to start treating yourself well. Let me say that again. It's a typical catch-22 situation. This is so good. He writes, you need to treat yourself well in order to feel that you have value, but you need to recognize your value in order to start treating yourself well. No wonder it can be so hard to change our negative sentiments about ourselves if that's where we are in carrying that kind of baggage around with us. So now the question becomes, how can we break out of this cycle? How do we break the cycle? It's very difficult to force ourselves to feel a certain way about who we are when we don't feel that way. And so Dr. Gillian suggests changing unhelpful thoughts is useful to some extent,
especially if those thoughts are overly harsh and simply not true. Overly harsh and simply not true. That's the first step in starting to changing our behavior. In closing, he suggests we can choose to act as though we love ourselves, even if we don't really feel it. Start by acting like you're someone who matters. Pretend like you like yourself. We're going to grow towards this because if you pretend it, sooner or later, that pretense will become your reality. Pretend you like yourself. Pretend you care about your own happiness, and pretend your needs are more than an afterthought. Here he says the old saying about fake it till you make it, and those feelings will begin to follow. And as he gives also, Dr. Gilligan gives us several strategies. I'm not going to go into them, but one is take the time to plan your day in a thoughtful way. Don't just rush through it, and then you always feel like there's a constant nagging sense that you're just not doing what you need to do. And there's times when that's unavoidable. But other times, let's arrange our days in a friendlier way that protects our basic sanity. And then he also says, carefully consider your own needs and how you can meet them. And we're not talking about being egotistical here, right? Because that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is basic self-care, self-love. Pretend that you love yourself. Pretend that you like yourself, which will evolve into the love, and not be so hard on ourselves. Be more forgiving. Be more forgiving. And then finally, surround yourself with people who bring out the best in you, because research shows that relationships can have powerful effects on our well-being. Find those people who reinforce that you are valuable. Find those people who appreciate who you are in this moment of time. Seek them out and rely on those relationships externally to help you internally to feel more grateful for who you are and what you are and where you can go in your full potential. No matter what age you are, don't give up. Time is still on your side. The question is, how do we maximize the time in feeling better about ourselves and treating ourselves with this utmost respect? Well, that's it. I trust you've enjoyed listening to this podcast series, specifically today's episode, Conversations with Two People Who Are Truly Optimally Aging. That would be Mary Coomer and also Leroy Chittenden. For more information on what they talked about, including Tai Chi, chair yoga, and legal services and other services both of our guests mentioned, please visit the website, TraegerInstitute.org. I also appreciate and have enjoyed the fine work Samantha has done behind the scenes, keeping this little train that could chugging on the tracks. This has been your host, Dale Josie, for my podcast series, Aging with Grace, 55+, and I've truly enjoyed hosting this 4-part series, Optimal Aging, brought to you by the University of Louisville Traeger and Optimal Aging Clinic, and my podcast series, Aging with Grace, 55+. Please like us on YouTube, and remember, life is what you make of it. So enjoy the journey. Bye for now. It's been a pleasure. Till next time. Have a great day.
Please visit my website, awg55.com, to listen to past episodes of Aging with Grace 55+, including purchasing a deck of 35 oversized playing cards for deeper, more meaningful conversations with the seniors in your life or community.